Well, welcome. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to see all of you here. And hopefully today, in the next 10-15 minutes, I can, if not teach you something new, at least help you start changing the way you approach things. In fact, I almost just stood up and said, well, Andrew said it all, so I can sit down now. But that's what I'm here to talk about, is branding. Andrew touched on a lot of my background. I was schooled by the best through the 80s and the 90s. I worked at Adobe, one of the biggest branding companies in the world. I worked for Apple as a consultant and helped them on much of their branding. Regis McKenna was someone who I got to meet with and learn from, as well as other just incredible people who brand companies. And that was the thing in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, was branding companies first. But what I'm here to talk about today, the faceless company is dead. It no longer works. This all changed with, particularly Web 2.0. When we used to go out and brand a company, we didn't care who was behind the company. We cared about the products and all of this stuff first. And if we never found out who was behind the company, it was probably okay. I mean, I can't tell you who was running Nike in the 70s and 80s when I used to buy all their shoes. But today, it's different. There's a lot of reasons. People want to believe in the person or people behind the company first, and then they'll pay attention to their products and technologies and services. And that's a huge shift. So I've had to throw away everything I knew and learned from all these experts for so many years and retool myself. And so what I'm doing today is sharing with you some of the core things that I've learned. Have you ever purchased a product online? 78% of consumers trust recommendations. Now, you might say, well, there's recommendations from someone I know and someone I don't know. The delta is only about 8%. In other words, 70% will trust someone they don't know that recommends something. 78%, the other 8% will only trust people they know. But still, that's pretty phenomenal. Advertising, 14% of the population today trusts advertising. And of course, where do they get that information? It's from Google. So the first thing I want to talk about is people buy from people. Regis McKenna, he's wrong. What he taught back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s does not work today. If you don't know who Regis McKenna is, he is the most acclaimed marketing individual on the planet. He's the one that branded Apple. He branded Intel. He branded many, many of these great, enormously successful companies. Now, he's not all wrong, but the point of starting with the company and product first no longer works. We have to rewind back to Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's what works today. Get to know the people first, become a friend first, become an influencer first, and then they'll want to buy from you. That's how things work today. So it was interesting, I was on 1&1, which is one of the sites you go to buy domain names and URLs, and this big menu pops up and it says secure other top domains because your name is your brand. And I thought, wow, I'm not the only one that thought of this. Other people get it. And it's true, because your name is your brand. So if your name's your brand, then we have to figure out how to brand ourselves. And the first thing you have to do is discover who you are and what you're all about. And what's your expertise? So when you think about branding yourself, a guy by the name of Nick Nanton wrote a great book called Celebrity Branding You. And it's kind of a long statement, but I want to walk you through it because it's really critical to what we're talking about. It says, branding yourself allows you to market yourself to your target market in an exciting way, and you can interpret exciting to be different, unique, personable, but in an exciting way, producing a response from these people, from your prospects, and a response they notice. Think about when you meet someone that's really influential and they have an impact on you and you feel something. You feel a connection, you feel something unique. That's what he's talking about. It produces a response, and they react to this response in the form of buying your product or your service. Beautiful words. I could not say it better myself. The more you can personally connect, the more value you create with your buying group. Now, the beauty would be if we could go around and shake hands with everyone, say hello to everyone, remember everyone's names, remember a little something about everyone. The challenge is that our world has to be bigger than the people we can personally touch. And there's a lot of tools today to help us with that, including, of course, the internet. So the last point I want to make around this idea of why it's so important to brand yourself first is this. Win the heart and the mind will follow. So it's a nice statement, but this one is the one that makes sense to me, and my wonderful wife is with me today, and she'll tell you this is true. The mind, the logical left brain, right, can always find logic to justify what the heart or the right brain has already decided. What does that mean? Think about it. You see a product, you get really excited about it. You have absolutely no reason to buy it. There's no justification, but you want it. So what happens? Your left brain kicks in and says, oh, there's got to be 10 good reasons why I need this thing, right? So this is the whole concept. If you can win people's hearts through this interaction, whether it's personal, one-on-one, whether it's one-on-one over the internet, or however you can establish this branding of yourself, then their heart will follow, which means they'll follow on, look at what products and services you have to offer. By the way, that's from Roy Williams, The Wizard of Ads. He's written 3 amazing books on advertising. And this is what his premise is all about.